Alright, good morning guys. This is Mr. Grant, and I am here today to teach you about transformations. So we have a question right here, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I want you to follow along and make sure you're circling and boxing in and underlining and doing basically everything you see me doing in this video. I want you to do it on your own problem so that we can understand how to solve these transformation questions. All right, so first thing we're going to do is read the question, and the question says, triangle RST is translated 6 units to the left and 4 units up to create triangle R prime S prime T prime. Which rule best describes this transformation? So after reading that question, I noticed there are some keywords there that I'm going to circle and write some words about it so that I remember some things. So first keyword I noticed was translated. And if I remember correctly, translated means to slide. So I already know that my shape is going to be sliding. And then I see that there, it says it's going to move 6 units to the left and then 4 units up. And that creates the new triangle. And my question says, which rule best describes this transformation? I know transformation means to change. So I am changing my shape, and it is going to slide 6 units to the left, and it is going to move 4 units up. So to remember how units to the left or units up is or goes, we have a little trick that we can draw. So first we're going to draw an arrow left and right. And I know left to right means the x-axis, so I'm going to put x there. And if it's going to the right, it's going to go x plus. If it's going to the left, it is going to go x minus. Because if we look at our x-axis, we can see that the numbers are getting bigger this way, and the numbers are getting smaller this way. So they're going negative, this way they are going positive. So then we're going to draw a vertical arrow or a line, and this is going to represent my y-axis right here. And if we notice on my y-axis, when it goes up, y is positive right here. The numbers are getting bigger, and as we go down, my numbers are getting smaller, so y negative. Okay, so we just need to figure out what is happening. So when I look at this first one, it says 6 units to the left. So when I'm looking, that says to the left is this way. So that should be x minus 6. And it says 4 units up. So if I'm going up, that is going to be y plus 4. So now I know my answer choice needs to have x minus 6, y plus 4. Just by using these arrows that I drew, I am able to figure that out. So when I look for my answers, I'm looking for x minus 6. So I look at A, and that says 6x and minus 4y. Well, I know when the number and the letter are right next to together, that is multiplying, so my answer is not A. B says minus 6x and 4y, and again, that means multiplying because the number and the letter are right next to each other. When I look at C, C says x plus 6, but I'm looking for x minus 6, so that won't work. And D, x minus 6, y plus 4. So I have both of the parts, so my answer for this one would be D. Okay, moving on to the next question. We'll follow the same process. We're going to read, underline, circle, and write some keywords before we go to answer the question. So reading the first question, it says, a circle is graphed on a coordinate grid and then reflected across the y-axis. If the center of the original circle was located at xy, which ordered pair represents the center of the new circle after transformation? So I'm going to circle and write some words that I know. So it says a circle is graphed on a coordinate grid and then reflected. That word reflected I know means to flip. So I'm flipping my shape, and it is flipping it across the y-axis. So every time you see a question about reflecting it is either going to tell you it's reflected across y or it's going to be reflected across x. So this one says we're reflecting across the y axis. So I know that anytime I am reflecting, the opposite is going to change. So if I'm going to reflect over y, then x is what is going to change. So it should be negative x with a positive y. But if I was reflecting over y, reflecting over x, then y would change, because remember, I'm always going to change the opposite. So because it says I'm reflecting over the y-axis, I'm going to choose this first one, and that is negative x, y. So when I look at my answer choices, I need to make sure that x has a negative and y is positive. I look at A, x is positive, y is positive. That cannot be my answer. I look at B, x is positive, y is negative. There is a negative there, but it's not the right negative, so B is not my answer. I look at C, x is negative and y is positive, which is exactly what I need, so C is my answer, but I want to check D just to make sure. When I'm looking at D, x is negative, which is what I need, but y is also negative, so that cannot be my answer because only x changes when it is flipped over the y-axis. All right, y'all, so good job on taking notes and listening. So make sure that if you need help again on these problems, to go ahead and go back over the questions and listen to the video. And